Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from worldwide. I'm Sterling. It's great to have you back on the channel. This show is being recorded on Saturday, May 31st, 2025, and then posted to all media channels on Sunday, June 1st, 2025. As always, these shows are provided for entertainment purposes only. All the information I share with you comes real time through my guides, angels, extended spiritual counsel, ETs, famous people from history, so for entertainment purposes only. Also, if you just remember to like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, all those things really help the channel. So thanks for everyone's participation. If you're new to the show, we actually gather questions from our community board, actually the post section on our YouTube channel. Every Monday, the office puts out a request for questions. And then my wife goes through them, comes up with a batch of questions that we answer for you here real time on the show. This week, I think we had 700 questions that were posted, and I'll share with you 66 questions here real time on the show. So always happy to get together and go through a lot of the concerns people have regarding politics and science and health and all kinds of things going on in the world and the universe for that matter. So wonderful to get together with everybody. Appreciate everyone's wonderful support of the channel. And without any further delay, let's get going on today's show. Question 66 in the countdown. Do you see 45 getting so angry at court rulings against him that it'll shut down the government? No, I don't see this successfully taking place. I do see a lot of tantrums being thrown and a lot of media and social media posts, but I don't see, let's say, a tantrum resulting in shutting down the government directly in that way. No. 65. Hello, Sterling and team. Expedition Bigfoot, a Bigfoot discovery show, is in its sixth season. Are they close to finding Bigfoot? Well, so for the record, Bigfoot is a shape-shifting extraterrestrial. We've covered it a number of times on these shows, but he's already been found, and there are actually hundreds of scientists around the world working with the Bigfoot extraterrestrial species. Though they're not going to show themselves on the Discovery Show, which is Expedition Bigfoot, but they're already working very collaboratively with a lot of scientists on Earth right now, and they are shape-shifting. So the Bigfoot image that you see is actually a shape-shifting morph image of what they actually look like. They don't actually look like Bigfoot, okay? 64. 45 has been handing out pardons to convicted criminals like candy in the last few days. Is he or someone else in his administration been given a payoff for each pardon? I don't get these are directly related to payoffs, but I do get they're directly related to, like, let's call it an alliance, like supporting 45 during the presidential campaign. It's almost like paying back a favor. So I don't get a lot of payoffs going on, but I do get it some sort of, say a payback for support of 45's presidential campaign in 2024. 63. Can you please take a look at the severe fires happening now in the Canadian prairie provinces of Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta, and see if there is arson involved or this is natural? If so, why so severe at this time? I get this is all being caused by natural circumstances. So it's exacerbated by climate change, drought, lightning strikes. I do not see this as being arson or nefarious activity. Looks like a lot of it is is related directly to natural causes. 62. If pets are from the angelic realm and they die before you, will you always be reunited with them when you die, or could they possibly be back on Earth with another owner? In my experience, I've always seen that pets always make a real effort to reunite with you when you come across. It's a very important part of like your crossing. A lot of people, unconditional love for animals down here on Earth translates to that same love when you cross over. So many cases, almost all cases, animals will greet you from the other side. And then after you've been over on the other side for a while, they may move on and take care of another family. 61. I saw an interview recently with Al Gore a month ago on broadcast television talking about how best to make changes in our government. He is very knowledgeable and experienced with running an effective government. Will Al Gore play a role in helping rebuild the government after the current administration falls apart? Yes, Al Gore will be one of several hundred very prominent individuals across government that will help to reshape government and put it all back together so that it serves humanity. Okay, that's clear. Government will now start to serve humanity as opposed to a number of select individuals, and Al Gore will be part of it. 60 in the countdown. Once we are in the S portion of the AIM strategy, what will be the action that Peter Thiel takes? We hear he has obtained citizenship in New Zealand. Is he at risk for jail since his company Plantar may have helped EM with the election electronic interference? I'm getting he'll move back to New Zealand, and I'm getting he has several hundred acres back there in a spread or a ranch or something. And I seem to get here that maybe he was even looking at building a doomsday bunker or something back there. So he will escape to New Zealand. He'll go back to New Zealand. I do see that very prominently. I think the other question being asked here is, oh, the S portion of Ames. So if you're new to the channel, my spiritual team many months ago, actually out until last year, previous year, laid out what's called the Ames strategy that has to do with the analysis, the investigation, the movement slash military, and separation. It speaks to the process of what's going on behind the scenes of uncovering the electronic election interference that took place November of last year. Actually, it's taken place in other years, but very prominently in November of 2024. So this person's asking about the S portion of the strategy, the last phase, which we're not in right now, but that's what's called the separation phase, where everybody scrambles and goes to other areas of the world. Okay. 59. NATO recently met in Dayton, Ohio at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base last weekend. Did NATO Secretary General Mark, is it Rutte, Ritter, meet with a congressional delegation? And did Mark inform them of the intelligence he has on the electronic election interference and more? Yes, I get Mark met with a very large congressional delegation. And I think it was somebody that might be in that area. This is Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Maybe it was Mike Turner, there's somebody. But yes, and I believe that a lot of information was shared that was collected from many NATO members regarding the electronic election interference. So yes, a lot of information was shared, including the participation of a satellite services provider, which will go unnamed here. But yes, so all this information was shared. 58 in the countdown. Will there be a cure for blood cancers in the future or in our lifetime? You know what? I do see, many blood cancers are going to be affected by genetic engineering, CRISPR technology within 10 years. You're going to see a big breakthrough within 10 years around genetic engineering and CRISPR technology. Remember, there are hundreds of companies, even thousands of scientists working on CRISPR technology. But this would involve, cures with vaccines for like leukemia, lymphoma, myeloma, not a doctor here, but yeah, a number of different blood cancers. This is all part of it. And my team's reminding me that we've already seen some cures using CRISPR for like pancreatic cancer. I think there was a woman in the UK last year that successfully had T cells used with CRISPR technology to help cure pancreatic cancer. So that was one of the first big steps forward. So yeah, lots coming up regarding blood cancers, whoever asked this question. 57, will JD Vance be installed as president when 45 is decertified, or will there be an interim person like the Speaker of the House or someone placed in that position? I think we're going to see a delegation of a number of prominent congressional, I'll call it officers. They're going to help orchestrate the government during a transition period. once all the electronic election interference comes out. So it's going to be, and I don't see JD Vance being an interim president. He'll actually be caught up in all of the turmoil that's going on right now related to that. So he will not be an interim president, nor will he be a long-term president, say in the longer-term future. He'll actually be caught up in all the turmoil. 56. Missouri GOP banned abortions in June of 2022, soon after Roe v. Wade was overturned. Missouri voters amended the Missouri Constitution in November of 2024 using Amendment 3 to restore women's reproductive rights. Then Missouri GOP members tried to legislate away Amendment 3. How long will this fight continue? You know, there's going to be a Republican-controlled legislature in this area for another 2 years. So this fight's going to go on for a good 2 years, but then I see very soon after that, it like drops off a cliff in a good way, and women's reproductive rights, let's say in Missouri, start coming back or getting restored. But it's a good 2 year run here before, because of this Republican-led legislature, okay? 55. Scandinavian countries defeated their oligarchs with resistance that included general strikes. Is this going to happen in the U.S. this summer to fight back against the GOP? My team, I'm not sure I buy into the flat statement that was the Scandinavian countries like completely defeated oligarchs. It looks like there was some sort of like a multifaceted, either social programs, governmental programs, unrest, strikes, whatever's going on here, like a multitude of things. And it's not completely eradicated in Scandinavian countries. But to the question, the US, just like many other countries around the world, will use a multitude of methods and procedures and process to fight oligarchs. That includes new election laws, seizing assets of oligarchs. So it's a number. I'm getting it's a multifaceted approach, okay? 54, will the military parade scheduled for June 14th, 2025 actually take place? Yes, but I see it's going to be greatly reduced in size, okay? And it looks like it'll have a multifaceted reason for occurring. So I'm not sure if it's celebrating, I don't know, the Army's birthday or something here, but it's almost like 45 is going to take credit. Oh, this is like some sort of a birthday parade or something, but it's going to be greatly reduced in size. 53, will the U.S. Marshal Service finally come directly under the judiciary branch of our government so that our courts, especially the Supreme Court, have a truly direct way to enforce judgments? I don't see this actually taking place. I see a lot of proposals to try to make this happen, but I don't see this change actually taking place in regards to U.S. Marshal Services coming under the judicial branch. A lot of proposals, but don't see it actually happening. 52, a panel of U.S. judges within the U.S. Court of International Trade ruled on Wednesday of last week that 45 overstepped his authority with the global tariffs. Will this go to the Supreme Court, and will they uphold the ruling? You know, it is eventually going to go to the Supreme Court. And as of the recording of this show today on Saturday, the 31st of May, I believe a lower court just upheld 45's ability to still get paid for certain tariffs. So a little bit of a seesaw back and forth action going on here. I do see eventually the Supreme Court is going to get the case, and they're actually going to rule in favor of, let's say, Congress, that 40 cannot unilaterally put tariffs on a lot of global countries. So looks like in that respect, justice will be upheld. We got a little bit of a process going forward here. 51, most Republicans seem confident in moving ahead with 45's current Project 2025 plan and agenda. Have they been assured that they will have unique 2028 wins similar to what took place in 2024 and are not worried about the future election or their constituents? Yes, they believe that the Project 2025 plan is in effect. It will continue. That's what they believe. But it'll actually be all dismantled in a way that it will not be effective. That is the Project 2025 plan as we move out into the end of this year and out into 2026. Keep in mind that it will always be around and a factor in society, but it's going to lose a lot of the momentum and the force. And so a lot of these, the Republicans are going to actually then be pulled out of office. So they have kind of false confidence right now. 50. Some people have been talking about a cabal, a small group of humanity with sinister goals actually being in control of humanity. The matrix is real, and that the universe is a cube that humans eventually ascend out of through reincarnation, and lessons learned is any of this correct. So, no truth to many of these assertions. Now, there's a very large group of very wealthy individuals worldwide that are certainly pushing their agenda. That's true. Wouldn't call it a cabal. The Earth is not a matrix. It's not a simulation. It's actually a real 3D environment. The fourth dimension is time. Time is linear on Earth. So, not a matrix, and it's not a cube, but people do come back through successive reincarnations in order to learn lessons. So many of the assertions made in this particular question are not exactly correct. 49, Oklahoma State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Ryan Walters, has been actively forcing schools in his state to conform to his far-right ideologies. Do you see him being removed from office in the foreseeable future? Looks like he's going to be in place up through like the year 2027. So I don't see there's no fast transition coming for this individual. He will be in place and let's say, more or less doing what he's doing for at least another 2 years. So that puts out in like 2027, there'll be some sort of change. 48. Hello, Sterling. It appears the GOP have placed authoritarian items in the current budget bill, such as they can delay or cancel future votes, they can't be held in contempt of court, etc. Do you see any of these items in the bill being passed? No, I don't see any of these blatant items in the bill, the budget bill being passed. So for some reason, somebody's going to revisit them and they'll be negated or something going on here. So the blatant application of these things and the way it's structured, the bill looks like it's going to be deconstructed, changed in some way. 47. Will the group Anonymous reveal major information on or near July 3rd, 2025 that will expose and ruin the 45 administration? Their last video hints at major revelations. Yes, so this is all a factor. Many, many groups coming forward. Anonymous is one of them, detailing the electronic election interference that took place with satellite services companies and data center companies. We won't get a lot of detail here, but yes, this is all part of the AIM strategy. But Anonymous is one of many organizations coming forward with information. Yes, and they will reveal it on or about early July. It might be late June. Now we're just coming into June now, right? So Sunday is June 1st. So I'm getting it might be accelerated a little bit. Maybe it doesn't wait as long as July 3rd. 46. Hello, Sterling. Do you have any information about the numerous Russian government and military aircraft that have been observed departing Moscow eastward, potentially signifying a shift in strategy or response to perceived threats? I get a lot of these aircraft transfers were driven by shutting down like Moscow airports due to threats from Ukraine drones or missile fire. So I get this is like a protective measure by Russia's government to protect the aircraft due to impending, Ukrainian threats. 45. After 45 flees to the Middle East, will the U.S. try and bring him back to face justice? If so, will they be able to catch him? So, no long-term justice for 45. What's interesting is that there will be a fleeing to the Middle East. I've seen this now for 4 to 5 years. My team's been predicting this to Saudi Arabia. The Qatar aircraft that was delivered, the $400 million Boeing aircraft, will play a role in that. Doesn't matter whether it's outfitted as Air Force One or not, the aircraft will still be utilized. And I don't see any long-term justice, unfortunately. And it actually reminds me of some situations in the past, like with Ford and Nixon, where there was a pardon issued. But the fact there was they decided, that there's only so much the nation could do. And so I won't get into all that historical data, but it looks like, it'll escape to the Middle East and eventually perish. Actually, within 1 to 2 years after escaping to the Middle East, looks like 45 will in fact perish in the Middle East. 44. Recently, I heard a Catholic priest say that using tarot cards, pendulums, dowsing rods, and the like is negative and demonic. Is that true? So, no truth to any of these assertions. Now, everything you're talking about, whoever asked the question, tarot cards, pendulums, these are tools. And the tools, you're leveraging your unique guides and angels. So I always tell everybody, take some time to learn how to develop the clairaudient gift that we all have, to be able to talk to your angels and guides. That is where all the information emanates from. So we're using tarot cards or dowsing rods or reading tea leaves or pendulums. You're leveraging off of the communication skills you have with your angelic team. Likewise, if you're not communicating well with your angelic team, you get sporadic information, but it's not demonic. No. Remember, it aligns with your angelic team. So when you think about it, your unique birth angels and working spiritual guides, is that demonic? The answer is no, it's absolutely not demonic. 43. By the way, my team's reminding me that a lot of religion is human-based development, right? Human-based concepts. So there's kind of an overlaying topic here that, all religions in certain aspects are flawed in terms of the universe. Now, I'm not throwing every religion under the bus, but I'm saying that when humanity gets involved in anything, there's always there's some element of it that is not completely aligned with the universe and true love, okay? 43, will DeSantis and his wife eventually get caught for stealing money that was meant for hurricane victims? Yes. And actually, after the 45 administration is out of office, it looks like that's when a lot of the trials and the tribulations and the legal cases are coming for DeSantis and his wife. Yeah, so there's a delay there. It's not going to happen right now. 42, do people who pass away know that they are leaving the earth before they go? And I'm reading this question in a way, do they know that they are leaving the earth? Who pass away know they're leaving the earth. So this speaks to, let's say, the moments around passing. So let me, if I rewind, let's say somebody's going to pass away 2 weeks from now. Depending on their level of spirituality, they may not realize they're going to be crossing within 2 weeks. However, when you actually start the crossing process, you're guided by your birth angels, you're crossing. So, and many times your birth angels come to visit you, greet you before you pass. So you'll see sometimes people talking with imaginary people that are there. I remember Sam Kinison, the comedian, when he was in a catastrophic car accident. His family was around him when he was sitting in the car right before he left, and he was arguing with the birth angel. No, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. Okay. So right around the time of passing, you do communicate with your birth angels. And so you obviously know that, it's time to go. 41. After our life review, can we decide to move on to a different planet? Yes, it's all part of free will. But keep in mind, the planets you move to are outside this galaxy. So they're outside the Milky Way galaxy. The planets you end up going to are not here, okay? That's just for the time being, the way the Earth is laid out, the way the universe is laid out. 40, what do you see regarding midterm elections in Texas? Will a Democrat be elected as governor? Will Ted Cruz, Paxton, and Patrick lose their respective elections? I don't see a Democratic governor being elected in Texas, but I do see Paxton and Cruz being replaced. And they ask about somebody else here, Patrick, Ted Cruz Paxton. It looks like not a Democratic governor, still a Republican governor, but then all these other individuals, they do get replaced in their respective election or whatever, however they're assigned their position. 39, neonatal intensive care unit nurse here. Can your guides tell us some major advancements in the next 10 years for babies born premature? You know, I see tremendous applications of artificial intelligence technology combined with like camera technology. So it's almost like being able to watch babies and then based on movements or things going on in prenatal care, artificial intelligence knows right away that's a neurological problem, that's an oxygen problem. There's something going on here with the coupling of imaging, camera technology, AI technology. I also see tremendous leverage over AI databases of trillions of pieces of information that then allow doctors to more rapidly make diagnosis. So whoever asked the question, a lot of AI technology coming into prenatal care and healthcare overall. But it's kind of interesting. My teams talk about the use of camera technology to right away understand movements or what's going on. And then based on trillions of pieces of data, recognizing right away what's happening, coming to a very fast diagnosis. 38. Will a treatment be discovered for reversing dementia and age-related memory problems? Yes, by the year 2035. And genetic engineering is already making tremendous progress in these areas right now, certainly around like Alzheimer's and many, many neurological things. So I talk about this all the time. Genetic engineering is focused on, I'll call it the low-hanging fruit, so to speak. So neurological problems, cancer problems, and then we'll move out into other areas like multiple sclerosis, osteoarthritis, But there's a lot going on here around dementia, age-related memory problems, neurological. But about the year 2035, you're going to see big advancements in that area. 37. Allergies are a big problem for many animals, and the current treatments available can cause death. Do you see safer, more major advancements in animal medicine? I do see major advancements around veterinary care, animal care for allergies within 5 years. But it looks like it relates directly to things like what happens with flea bites and food and environmental. Oh, so my team's saying it's almost like these allergy, let's say, medications or solutions are going to be broken out like into 4 different areas, like environmental, flea, food, and then even like household chemicals. I don't know what's going on, like cleaning chemicals. So yes, within 5 years, like 4 different major segments for treating allergies in animals. So if anybody's out there involved working with animals, you take a look at that. I think you're going to find that very interesting. 36. With the release of Google's DeepMind VO3 being able to render believable human-like AI-generated scenes, how will this affect the film and animation industry? Will we lose our jobs eventually? How can artists pursue their passions and make money with AI when AI threatens to render artists obsolete? So this is an evolution of new tools, and this is the time for everybody in the world, whether you're in the entertainment industry or medical profession, law, doesn't matter, to embrace artificial intelligence technology. That's what the basis here. Generative AI technology is what's around Google's DeepMind VO3. These are tools, and so they're going to be applied in different ways. So yes, the conventional ways that artists used to work will change. There's still going to be a need for that creative mind to put together, to stitch together concepts. Yes, modeling and real-time rendering will be much faster using these technologies, but this is almost analogous to, moving from, use a long-term analogy from, buggy whip manufacturers, so to speak, when they, buggy whips were a thing, to automotive technology. So we're leaping ahead here by decades in technology. And so the more rapid individuals adapt and respond to new technology, the faster the transition process is going to be. It will not put creative people out of business, but it's going to actually to develop new ways to use this technology, including real-time rendering of movie sets. Remember, a lot of video game technology uses real-time rendering. So when you're playing a video game, the person you're seeing, or the individual that's being rendered there is being rendered in real time. It doesn't actually exist in the game. So all this to say, all this technology is here to stay. The faster everybody embraces it, adopts it, leans into it, there'll be new ways to utilize these technologies. 35, when I was growing up, companies gave pensions to retired employees. Now the pension's mostly gone and replaced with 401k plans. I was wondering if we will ever get back to a system with safe retirement-like pensions. Your 401k can be like riding a roller coaster. So no more pensions per se going out into the future. As we're going through this 3-decade reset, pensions are a thing of the past. But individuals are going to develop new ways of investing and taking care of what's important to them. So I don't want to get into a lot of financial advice here, but it's shifting away from company dependent pensions and more what I'm going to call society dependent. So there's new systems coming up here. Again, don't want to get a lot of financial advice here, but this is a transition that's all occurring during this 3-decade reset, the year 2020 to 2050. 34, hi Sterling, will there ever be an effective vaccine for tick bites? Yes, they've already developed using genetic engineering vaccines right now that understand how to mimic Lyme disease and how to start correcting Lyme disease. This is all part of what's being rolled out right now. I'm getting told by my team right now that there's actually clinical trials going on right now using vaccines for Lyme disease, to fight Lyme disease, okay? So whoever asked this question about tick bites, my team's talking a lot about Lyme disease here and the advances being made around that. So yeah, it looks like it's all coming. Here, the window for the complete, let's say, tick bite problem is probably 5 to 6 years out, something like that is what they're telling me. 33, in 2004, I saw a black silhouette of a man standing in front of me as I was arriving home. It looked like he was wearing a trench coat and fedora hat. Within a second, he disappeared, but from his hand fell a used cigarette butt onto the floor. In the same week, my wife saw something similar in the bedroom late at night. People say that seeing a black hat man is an omen of negative events to come. Is this true? No, the black hat men are benevolent and they're here to give warnings. So it's almost like be on the alert. A lot of times you can see black hat men around military bases when something's going to happen at a military base. You'll see individuals witness black hat men. They're benevolent. It's there just to say, be aware, increase your level of awareness. So that means you're taking a long-term vacation. Make sure that you know where the gas stations are. It's like be aware. It's like an increased level of awareness, but they're benevolent. 32, with respect to osteoarthritis, will the technology also allow the body to regrow soft tissue such as spinal disc, cartilage, and ligaments? Yes. Within 15 years, 1-5, there'll be a lot of genetic engineered technology that will help soft tissue regrowth. Again, not a doctor. And I'm getting my team has said that a lot of these developments are going to come out of European countries for this specific area of healthcare. 31, Northeast Florida hurricane outlook. What does it look like? How does it look for us on the East Coast? I do see this is a particularly bad hurricane season for the East Coast of the U.S. I see at least 3 very strong weather events, really strong weather events as we get out from now towards the end of the year. So yeah, everybody, the good news is there'll be days of warning. So you'll actually have plenty of warning before these events take place. Be prepared. 30, there are a number of well-known senior scientists who discuss consciousness research on YouTube. Even someone as prominent as Nobel Prize-winning mathematician Roger Penrose is sharing his thinking on this. My question is, Will science actually prove that consciousness is a fundamental force of our universe? In other words, that everything is consciousness. So first off, everything is not consciousness. Everything is based on quantum mechanics, physics of the atom. Now, the atom everything that exists in the universe gets down to actually the quantum mechanics and quantum physics. If you take a microscope and you look deep enough at any human body, you'll see space in between the atoms, right? But now, somebody's talking about consciousness here. That's one element of thousands of elements that exist in the universe. And you can think of consciousness almost as like spiritual DNA. So, yes, it's almost like a memory chip. As you go lifetime to lifetime, your experiences then get stored in memory and your spiritual DNA. But everything is not just consciousness, it's experience, it's lessons. It's environments, it's 3D and 4D environments, it's nonlinear time. So consciousness is only like one very small element of everything that has a root in quantum mechanics or quantum physics. So it's a long answer, but hopefully we're asked it. That is exactly what you need to know. By my team saying they call it intelligent energy, is how the universe classifies a lot of quantum mechanics, intelligent energy. 29, there's a TikTok video of MBS and an American executive showing 45 some photos. MBS and the other gentleman are grinning while 45 looks like he's in shock. Looks like the photos are of him a lot younger. Is he being blackmailed? Yeah, I mean, there's an element here being blackmailed. It looks like these pictures somehow relate back to Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, won't go into a lot of detail there, but there's something going on with a connection, a direct connection also to Jeffrey Epstein. 28, there are hundreds of UAP UFO sightings in the night skies of Arizona and surrounding states these past couple of weeks, as seen on YouTube and TikTok. Are they Palladian ETs starting to reveal themselves? So they're not necessarily all Palladian. There are actually many species of extraterrestrial. This is all part of the full disclosure that's coming, okay? But they're not all Palladian. But look, there are thousands of sightings. And now if you go back over decades, millions of sightings. They're all being shown to individuals, humanity, to prepare them, okay? 27, do you see a safe and effective non-surgical alternative to spaying and neutering cats and dogs in our future, mainly to help and control feral cat populations? I do see within 2 years, there's a new drug coming that can be like put in food that will actually then mitigate some of these problems. So I'm thinking mitigation in 2 years using drugs that go into like food. So yeah, it's coming very soon. 26. Some believe that people with schizophrenia that hear voices are having communication from spirit. Is hearing voices part of the illness or a gift? No. So here's the thing with schizophrenia. I'm not a doctor, but there's a lot of basic neurological health issues going on with schizophrenia, and they're not necessarily talking to spiritual entities. Some are, in a very small percentage. Remember, there's different types of neurological problems, but schizophrenia, they're actually not talking in most cases with other elements. By the way, spirits always communicate with very similar forms of energy. So when you've raised your vibration and you're trying to facilitate communication, there's a matching of energy there. And a lot of times the schizophrenic condition is more analogous to lower energetic vibrations. So it's either depression or anxiety. Might be some other type of drug abuse going on there, not a doctor. But anyway, no, in a very large percentage of cases, in the schizophrenic condition, they're not talking with spiritual entities, no. 25, concerning a soul's life plan for an individual life, if a person had strong hopes and wishes for a certain career or to have a life partner, but then dies without fulfilling these wishes, does it mean they were not part of the life plan? So Correct. Whenever we go through a life plan, we might have desires and things we want to do. But in that, sometimes that is the lesson that maybe there's something we're perceiving or something we want to do that maybe we did not put on our life plan. It's not to say it can't be realized, but remember, everything we go through, everything we experience is a lesson. So let's just take, for example, somebody that always wanted to be a famous rock musician and they never achieved it. Well, there's something about fame. There's less than fame there, or maybe that person ended up being a music school teacher, and that's really where they gave back to humanity. So it's all tied up in the lessons that you plan. 24, is there a limit of how many souls can be on Earth at any one given time? No limit whatsoever. However, the Earth has a very self-balancing characteristic. So they never allow anything to get completely out of balance. And you can credit Gaia for that, the energy of Earth. But it'll always stay in balance. And sometimes the balance has to do with underground cities or cities under domes. But there's always a self-balancing effect to Earth. 23, how does burning sage work to clear energies? So this is a form of aromatherapy. I always, in a humorous way, refer to saging as like aromatherapy on steroids. Creates a very relaxing effect on the body, and it does remove, let's call it spiritual overlays. So if you're around a lot of negative, nasty people, for example, and you come home and you want to kick the door and kick the wall, you're carrying a lot of that overlay energy from the people you're around. Saging is like a spiritual shower. It's not magic. It's like aromatherapy on steroids, but it does tend to relax the body and actually move a lot of that energy away from you. So very, very straightforward. It's really a form of like aromatherapy. 22, hi Sterling, will the U.S. ever be sectioned off by regions that operate with less help from the federal government? No, this will not take place. The U.S. will stand as a unified entity, if you will, with a lot of federal government support for many, many decades to come. So I don't see it being sectioned off into regions, no. 21, if we had previous lives on other planets, are extraterrestrials from those planets attracted to us and do they remember us? Does this have any relevance to them or to us in our current life? What's interesting is that it relates directly to your life plan. Now, many times people have come down here to agree to work with extraterrestrial groups on world peace, free energy, cold fusion, science, health, a lot of different elements. So in that way, they're part of your team. The correlation that you might have had another lifetime with that species, Arcturans or Pleiadians or whatever species, whatever star system you came from, not really a direct correlation other than what you committed to do when you came down here. So it all relates back to that life path blueprint always. 20. Sterling, you've said tragic events like 9/11 and airline crashes involve people who have agreed to perish in those events as soul groups. Is the same true of a group of people working together to dismantle our democracy? So it's not the same thing in principle. A lot of times, let's take 9/11 or even the Holocaust. A lot of those individuals, they went as a sole group, but then they came back very, very quickly to enrich humanity. It's different. If you have individuals with a life plan, it's very similar. It's a dismantle democracy. They have a different kind of a life path contract, but it doesn't necessarily boomerang back very quickly into coming back, reincarnating very quickly to help humanity. So there's a big difference there in the way those concepts are realized or what they're all about. 19. Have most people on Earth had previous lives on other planets? Well, everybody originated as a star seed from a star system, right? So there's lots, there's like thousands of different star systems. However, not everybody live lives on other planets. It's all part of, how you laid out the entire construct of all the reincarnations. So not everybody has, no. 18, did people who are bad actors on the world stage right now write life contracts to be bad, or did they veer completely off from their good life contract intentions. Well, they didn't veer off. Actually, nobody can get off of their life path plan. This question comes up all the time. Their free will interacts with your life plan in terms of speed, scope, and scale. And so, in that way, so if you came down here to kind of cause a lot of death and destruction, it was part of the life plan. That's all the yin and the yang of the universe. But no, nobody really veers completely off their life plan. So that's really that was part of the life plan. And remember, because of the yin and the yang in the universe, that's how individuals really learn a lot of lessons. That's how humanity moves forward. It's the push and pull of the universe. 17, why do extraterrestrial groups seem to be very homogeneous like the Greys and the reptilians? It's really all part of just the way development took place in the universe. So think about individual races around the world, whether you're in the US or in parts of Asia or Africa. It really just the way those populations developed. Nothing unique there. It's really the way the world, the universe works, even in terms of extraterrestrial species, the way they've evolved. But remember, there are thousands of different species. So I wouldn't say that they all look like Greys or all like Palladians or Arcturans. No. 16, is there a heaven and a hell? There's absolutely a heaven. There is no hell. Now, hell can be a creation that you create, right? So we all create our own reality on this side of Earth and the other side. So you can create your own hell, but there's not a destination that is called hell. There's a lot of low-level energetic energies that can certainly feel like they're in hell. That's true. Okay, 50 in the countdown. Many of 45's actions seem destined to work together to severely harm the U.S. economy, including tariffs, high deficits, tax cuts, and his pending budget bill, reducing the workforce through his war on immigrants, and federal budget cuts that will reduce economic activity. It appears to be an integrated plan for maximum economic damage. Is it intentional? If so, what are his goals and who is orchestrating this? So 45 is analogous to the Manchurian candidate. We talk about this all the time. This is having an alliance and allegiance to an offshore entity. So this is actually playing into the role of dictatorship and what oligarchs want worldwide. That's what's behind a lot of this. That's what's behind the Project 2025 plan. Okay, 14 in the countdown. Years ago, I was sitting at dinner with my sister and husband. I was across from my sister. All of a sudden, and for just an instant, there was a very large dog beside my sister with his head in her lap. Being across from them, I saw the length of the dog. My very surprised sister was looking down at its head. My brother-in-law saw nothing. Please tell me who this dog was, why it came at that particular moment. This is a family pet that came back to visit you. It looks like it goes way back to earlier years, during your childhood years. A family pet. And actually, this is actually to ring the bell for your clairvoyant ability, be able to see. So you and your sister, I think you were saying your sister and husband, okay? But you too have latent clairvoyant abilities. So now's the time to start acknowledging it and start working on it. That's why you saw the dog. 13. If the budget bill passes, Congress will be overturned when the 45 regiment is removed. I'm sorry. If the budget bill passes, Congress, will it be overturned when the 45 regiment is removed? We'll need to stop the additional $4 trillion deficit. So once 45 is removed, Congress is going to go through a series of negotiations and budget additions and subtractions, and it's all going to be reviewed again, absolutely, including student loans, they're telling me, and Medicare, immigration, all those elements. 20, hi Sterling, wondering if they see what has been called the golden future in and around 2032 or later. I understand we will all live in harmony. So not necessarily a golden age is called out, I think, by a number of individuals. We're in a 3-decade reset, 2020 to 2050. So it's not 2032, but by 2050, the world's going to live in a much more harmony, collectively, collaboratively with extraterrestrials. There's a lot of space travel going on, a lot of human diseases that are behind us due to genetic engineering. So, really, no truth, let's say the golden future in 2032, but more of a broader term here, the 3 decade reset. 11. Will the senators and congressional representatives be tried for treason? Not necessarily. 45 will, but remember, there's an escaping of justice, let's say 45, and some of his colleagues and family members being outside the U.S. in the Middle East. 10. Why do we have nightmares or horrific dreams? What is their purpose? So these are most always subconscious thoughts of things you're not dealing with or facing in the waking state. Many times, these are like ringing the bell in your dreams. Say, hey, there's something here you're not facing. It's like tapping you on the shoulder. Remember, when you have nightmares or, let's say, horrific dreams, they're very memorable. So they're really trying to get a message across to you. Many times it's your angels and guides trying to get a message across to you. 9. What will be the effects on student loans from the big, beautiful bill, as it's being called by the 45 administration? It sounds like this is going to make things go from bad to worse for many students who are struggling under the weight of these loans. So for the next 12 months, it's going to be a little rough for the student loans. However, I see within 12 months, by the time we got the summer of next year, it's all going to be a retracted, re-level set. So it's going to be a little rough for 12 months here, yes. And then there'll be a reprieve, and things are going to start to get more manageable for the student loans. There'll be more forgiveness done, that kind of a thing. 8. Will extraterrestrials help us clean up our oceans, especially from harmful plastic? They already are. They're using advanced forms of algae right now deployed worldwide, and they're actually showing humanity, many scientists, how to develop these advanced forms of algae. 7. When 45 is removed, will his whole cabinet be removed? Does that mean everything that has passed will also be removed? His administration will be found illegitimate. So the administration will be replaced as a new administration comes in, but it's going to take a long time, another 12, 18 months for a lot of the damage that was done to be corrected, right? So remember, nothing happens overnight. There's always a lag effect. But yeah, a lot of things will be changed. Laws will be unwound that were not helpful to the U.S. It's all going to change. 6. When does a soul initially enter the human body? At conception or at birth? So it's different for every single soul. And humanity always tries to put an overlay on it. It happens right at conception. It happens after 3 months, happens after 6 months. It is very much an integral part of every soul's lesson. That includes the infant, the soul energy, the family, doctors, friends. It's all part of a very specific life lesson that, in fact, that soul wanted to learn. So I know this question comes up a lot, but it's very unique to every family, every soul coming down. And even the souls coming down, when they decide to come into the body and then exit, that's all part of their life plan, something they want to experience, or a gift in some respects they want to give to the family. So when you think about all life paths are interconnected, sometimes the event or the experience of a soul not coming down changes the trajectory, if you will. Not really, but it changes the trajectory of family members where now they start a new society or a help group for families that have lost children. So it's all interconnected, but it's very unique. The timing is very unique to every individual soul, not one specific time. 5. Hello, what do you see for American farmers this summer and fall? It's going to be a very rough period, I'm sorry to say, because of hotter than normal temperatures, embargoes, tariffs. It's going to be a rather rough period here this year, but it's going to get better as you get out at the beginning of next year. 4. Hello, Sterling and team. Will we ever have a federation of planets with Earth and ETs working together like we see in various science fiction programs? So there already is a functioning galactic federation that's working across thousands of extraterrestrial groups and even scientists and diplomats here on Earth. Not very well advertised, but prior presidents have already been part of a galactic federation. So it already exists, and it's been around for thousands of years. Number three, number two, number one. I always take notes before I start these shows, so I'll read those back to you. Number three, do your extraterrestrial friends have anything they want to share? Take time to realize that humanity has survived for millions of years, and we will not allow humanity to perish in 2025 and beyond. We have always guarded this most precious Earth laboratory and Earth school. We will preserve humanity in spite of humanity's extreme ignorance in many areas. Number two, what do you see coming up next week? More violence in the Middle East, mitigated by peace talks facilitated by Qatar. New budget proposals that will mitigate damage to Medicare. Passing of the budget with many safeguards added to mitigate the king for a day concept. New rulings from the Supreme Court that will start to safeguard democracy. New announcements from international groups regarding U.S. election interference methods and responsible parties, plus continued anonymous announcements and new Israeli strikes on Iran facilities. Number one, do you have anything your guides want to share? Remember, the planet and the universe do not run on your timeline. They run on a universal timeline that ensures everyone and everything is taken care of in due time. On that note, that concludes the show being recorded today on May 31st, Saturday, 2025, posted to all media platforms on Sunday, June 1st, 2025. As always, if you'd like to join our Platinum membership and get access to hundreds of videos, as well as our live streams we do on Fridays, you can join our Platinum membership. There's a join button on the front page of the YouTube channel, as well as our website, sterlingpsychicmedium.com. On that note, I'm going to send out a lot of goodwill and tremendous love to you and your families. Take care. I will see you all again very soon.